Your test 10 review starts with what place is this 5 in the number, and if you look at your place value, you have tenths, hundredths, thousandths. So the 5 is in the hundredths place. That part is super important with the THS on the end, so don't forget that when you're doing your quiz in the morning. Number 2 says name the property shown. If you pay attention to how these numbers are grouped over here, we have a 12 times a 6 and a 12 times a 9. They're distributing that 12 to both the 6 and the 9 and adding or finding the sum of those products. So this property is the distributive property. Of multiplication. Even though you're adding in the middle, you're still basically multiplying the numbers 12 times 15. They just broke it up into 6 and 9. And then you add your 12 to your, you multiply 12 times 6 and add that to your 12 times 9 to find your total sum or product, depending on the way you look at it, and both sides are equal. That's what your equal signs means. That this side, if I added first and got 15 here, 12 times 15 is the same as adding the sum of the products of 12 times 6 and 12 times 9. For number 3, the following is a polygon because it only has 2 dimensions. It doesn't have 3 dimensions. A polygon has 2 dimensions and a polyhedron has 3 dimensions. So, since we only have a length and a width for this, we only have this length and this width right here. It is a 2D figure or a polygon. For number 4, find the circumference. We find the circumference by multiplying the diameter times pi, which is 3.14. That's what we're going to use right now. We don't have the whole diameter here. We just have the radius. So, like we know, we can just multiply the radius times 2 to find out the diameter, which would make it 8. So 8 times 3.14. And the way you can set that problem up is 3.14 times 8 and multiply it out. You have 8 times 4, which is 32, and 8 times 1, which is 8, plus 3 is 11, and 8 times 3 is 24, plus 1 is 25, and you move your decimal over however many places it is in the original number. So it's 2 spaces over here, it'll be 2 spaces over here. So it's 25 meters, 25 and 12/100ths of a meter squared. And number 5, we're going to look at this graph and how is the information gathered. We have things about favorite flowers, all these different favorite flowers. So somebody must have surveyed a group to figure out the class's favorite flower. You can't look at somebody and know what their favorite flower is. So this must be a survey. This was completed by a survey. And number 1 again, we're going to change these into decimals, and we looked at this in class and we talked about how you could make them into tenths if you were able to make them into tenths, or you can make them into 100. Because I know that I can't make this into a tenth without dividing by 2, and I know 9 can't divide by 2, so that's one method of figuring out these fractions. Okay, I sped up a little bit just to get these equations set up here. I'm just saying that 1/2 is equal to how many tenths, because we know that our decimals are always written in tenths, 100ths, or 1,000ths. This is your tenths place and your 100ths place, and so on, your 1,000ths place. So if I can easily change these into tenths, or hundredths, I will do that so that I can write them as decimals easily. 2 can easily turn into 10 by multiplying by 5, so you have 5 tenths here, which is written as 5 tenths. Sorry, I'm using my little pad on my computer, so it's hard. But same here, but the reverse. 5 times 2 equals 10, so 3 times 2 equals 6. So we have our 6 tenths spot here, and 20 can easily turn into hundredths, or we can make an equivalent fraction in hundredths by multiplying by 5. So 9 times 5 is 45, and 45 hundredths is written as 45 hundredths. And for number 2, a number, x, is increased plus by 4 is 6. What is this number? What does x equal? It's saying x equals what? So what could I plug in for x to equal 6? I know that I could use the inverse operation here and subtract. 6 minus 4 is 2. And if I check that by plugging x in as 2 plus 4 is 6. So x equals 2. That's the way to set up your equation and find your sum. Use the Venn diagram to compare a triangular prism and a triangle. Okay, I went ahead and drew the Venn diagram over here. Triangular prisms are 3-dimensional. They have 3 dimensions, a length, a width, and a depth. And a triangle only has 2 dimensions, a length and a width. But they both have 3 sides for their base. Their base has 3 sides. The angle that is measuring 101 degree would have to be an obtuse angle, because anything over 90 degrees, our right angle, is going to be obtuse. And we looked at that today in class. We talked about how we made those big arms like obtuse things. Straight angles have 180 degrees, and acute have anything less than 90 degrees. Our last one has to do with this line graph. How many people attended game 1? If you look up at game 1, not 1.5 people attended, 1.5 thousand people attended. So the way that we would write that is 1.5 thousand. So if you take that decimal away, 1,005 people, because 5 is the decimal portion, so 1,500 people attended that first game. And how many more people attended game 3? Or you could write that also, you could write number 1 as 1.5 thousand. Either way, that works best for you. How many more people attended game 3 than game 1? Game 3, 4,000 people attended, and game 1 only 1.5. So if we think about these both as wholes, we could think about this as 4.0 other parts. And if you subtract these two, using our great subtraction skills, we can borrow from our whole, or our thousands place, and lend a 10 to our tenths place. And we have 10 minus 5 is 5, and 3 minus 1 is 2. 2.5 thousand more people attended game 3 than game 4. These people must be doing really good. So you can write it like that, or as 2,500. Why do you think more people attended game 3 than game 4? This is a very interesting question. If you look at game 3, there's a spike, and then game 4, there's a dip. You had a lot of ideas about this, I'm sure, but this could be maybe a bad weather game. Maybe they're playing a team that nobody really knows about. Maybe it's an away game. Also, other options could be that this game was a smaller stadium, something along those lines, but this game must have been a rival game, or build up to something. So C has multiple correct answers. Whatever you said for that is correct, and I hope that this has helped you, and good luck on your quiz.